Hi everyone, welcome to my class. In this class you will learn how to make a centerpiece using more heat-proof flowers. These flowers would be ideal if you have a wedding or an event in the seaside, and they will just perform perfectly fine in the event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that I use for this class the chicken wire and a cansan, a frog inside. And the reason is because some of these orchids, like this vanda, for example, have very, very, very thick stem and they're very heavy, So having the frog really will allow you to create this arrangement without struggling. So you know already in the first class how we place the chicken wire, so I don't have to go through that again. Let's start. So I'm going to add water. If you don't know this, you have to glue your cansan or your pink frog with time. You don't want to glue it and use it or add water because you really have to allow for it to dry. I want to guide you a little bit through my flower selection and that you can understand, because this is going to be a very fast centerpiece. The truth is that tropical flowers are already so beautiful alone. And look at this table. I mean, you have incredible flowers here, and the joy this table brings is amazing. I mean, all the colorful and mixing with fruits and other elements that we will use at the end to style this table. It's going to make this table just so gorgeous. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to show you, I have for foliage Bougainvillea. And I know many of you are wondering if Bougainvillea lasts, but believe me, it does last. The only thing you have to do is that you have to really condition Bougainvillea in the right way. So the thing that you do when you go and cut Bougainvillea is, first of all, can you see this is a very mature bloom? It doesn't have babies. So the babies, let me show you. The babies really have another color. These are more baby blooms and they are more fragile. So it's more likely that they won't make it. But when you cut your Bougainvillea, try to go for the really mature blooms. And these have been already, this is the second day in my studio. So I'm going to tell you what you do with Bougainvillea. So you go and cut it, okay? You have to have in your studio prepared boiling water and another container with water and ice. So you're going to shock the plant. So what you're going to do is you cut it, you remove all the leaves, and you just leave the blooms because this is what you're looking for. And you're going to peel. As you can see, I peeled here. You're going to peel the stem. Can you see? It's not woody anymore, so that I allowed the water to come easy. And I'm going to cut it like this also. And I'm going to put this amount inside boiling water. So this is going to be inside boiling water about 15 seconds. So you count until 15. And then immediately after, you put it in another vessel with really cold water. Okay? And you leave it there. And believe me, this is the result. A very beautiful Bougainvillea that will last your event and you don't have to worry about it. So I know some people think that you have to cover them like you do with mock orange and other things. No, this is the way to process Bougainvillea. And believe me, I've done events when I've used Bougainvillea and it has lasted perfectly fine. So Bougainvillea is our foliage. Our second foliage is this amazing. It's called the orange trumpet. And I just adore it. And this is so resilient. I think everybody's going to die and they will probably lose the flowers, but they are just very resilient. They are incredible. And they add this kind of exotic, but also a lot of movement to the arrangement. So we also have this beautiful red ginger. I really like this tropical flower because sometimes tropical flowers can be a little bit harsh, a little bit stiff, but look at these ones. This is amazing. So I love red ginger. I love the texture of pin cushion. I mean, this is just incredible. And all these flowers really are so heat-proof. We have all these beautiful phalaenopsis that I just adore. And the color combinations are incredible. And of course, vanda, which is just amazing. Look at this flower. So remember, tropical flowers can be a little bit expensive, so be mindful of what you use for your centerpieces. The truth is that you don't need many flowers to create something that looks absolutely special. So let's start again. You saw my first glass, so this is going to be a little bit faster on this one. You already saw the first glass. And this is because I want to go all the way through the end. So we're going to style this table. We're going to use fruit. We're going to use vines. We're going to put the candles. And I'm going to show you how this will look in an event. So I'm going to start again, you know that part, by doing the shape of my arrangement. And Bougainvillea is going to be the shape, but also is going to be the filler. So you can see here I don't have any yarrow, any flower that can do the base, but Bougainvillea is plenty and it's just beautiful and it's perfect with all the colors that we have chosen. So I'm going to start by placing my Bougainvillea, and I'm happy that I'm using a frog because it's very windy, so everything's going to move. And I'm just going to make this end quite sharp so that I can go inside the frog. And if you have to use your fingers, don't worry, you can do that. I'm trying to decide which one is the next one. But I think I'm going to go now mixing this shape that I'm creating with this Bougainvillea, also with this beautiful orange trumpet, which is just absolutely amazing. And I just love how, I don't know, it looks very exotic and it's so beautiful. So I'm going to choose the right one to create the shape. Let me think about it, but I think it's going to be this one. So I'm going to get rid of this, but when you use or you work with tropicals, everything that you cut is going to help you to style your table. So don't leave them without water. Just go and place them somewhere and leave them there while you use them again. And I'm going to clean this one a little bit, you know? I'm just going to make sure that it looks really graceful. But I really like this curve. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to cut it. And thank God I have a frog, because this would be a little bit difficult to place just with a chicken wire because it's quite heavy. So I'm going to come and add this one somewhere here. I think it's there. Okay. And I can move this one. I'm going to turn it around so that you can see what I want to do. I'm trying to design looking at you. So it's a little bit tricky for me. So I have to imagine what I'm doing. But I think this is perfect. So now I'm going to try to make this moment a little bit softer. So for that, I'm going to use another piece of Bougainvillea. And I have this piece here. I'm going to cut it and I'm just going to place it somewhere here so that I can make this moment softer. And now you can see. So I really like this shape. So the same way as we did in the other class, we're going to do the bed. And that means we're going to start adding the color that is at the bottom of our arrangement. So for this, I'm going to go from one side of my arrangement to the other side of my arrangement, as you already know, adding color and adding this beautiful Bougainvillea to create a first layer. So I'm going to use all these little pieces here, and they can be quite short. And I'm going to place them inside here, the same way we do the bed. So what we're trying to do here is to make the bottom have a color that is not green, because we want to have a very interesting color palette. And the truth is that it will look different if you had a first layer of green. So the traditional way of doing floristry would make you do a green layer, but for me it's more important to do a colorful first layer. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this beautiful trumpet in this direction to continue with this line. So again, I'm gonna pin frog this one so that really stays what I want, and this is the first part. So can you see we have a very beautiful, graceful shape that we will continue with some of the phalaenopsis and some of the other flowers. But for now, because tropical flowers have a very thick stem, you have to take advantage of this moment where you have an empty vase and really start placing them, because after it will be more complicated. So I'm gonna add my 2 bandas. I just simply adore these flowers. I think they're just so beautiful. And I'm gonna add one in one side and the other one in the other side. So I'm gonna choose which one works best for what side. Yeah, so I think this is gonna be like this. So I'm gonna place this banda and I'm gonna do it quite open. So don't place it in the center, because remember, you don't want your focal flowers to be just in your eyes. You want the people to have this journey where they can go from one side of your arrangement to the other one. And this transition will be softer if you have your focal flowers on the side. So I'm gonna place this banda here. I'm gonna open and I'm gonna pin frog her. How amazing is that flower? Really, you don't need that much more. It's incredible. So I'm gonna place the other banda somewhere here. Again, I'm gonna pin this banda to the frog because it's very heavy, and I'm gonna leave it there and I'm gonna show you. Okay, so the next step will be adding some other flowers, and I'm gonna add this red ginger that I really love. So can you see this ginger rose? I made it quite small because they can be very, very long and the petals can start quite low. But I really don't need all those. So I'm just gonna make it quite smaller. And once it's the size I want, I'm gonna place it. Again, I'm gonna cut very sharp and place this ginger somewhere here. And can you see how beautiful and how much texture you have with this ginger flower? So I'm gonna do the same here. And the color of this ginger flower and this bugambilia is just incredible. And I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna cut this one and I'm gonna place it somewhere here. Looking to the side, okay? And that's it. So the next step is gonna be adding some interesting color to my arrangement. And that's why I chose this beautiful phalaenopsis. I think they have this incredible color. And this is a guayaba. This is a guava. I don't think you have this in America, or maybe yes. And I want to show you the color inside of this fruit because it's going to be how we're going to style our table. Really depends of the fruit that we're going to use. And I want you to see this amazing color. So for me, this and this is just perfection. And this is going to be absolutely beautiful whenever we try to place it on the table. So I'm going to leave this guava here for now. I wanted to show you what I chose, this phalaenopsis. And I'm going to place this phalaenopsis somewhere running inside my arrangement. So I think I'm going to go quite low because, again, I don't want to lose the shape. So I'm going to come here. Be careful with your flowers when you are putting them on the pin frog, you know? And that's it. So now we have our phalaenopsis there, and they added this very beautiful moment, but I want to soften this. So now we have medium flowers here. It's time to start adding some dancing and soft movement. And for that, I'm going to use some of these dancer orchids. Actually, that's the name. How pretty they are. We have some other here, and we're going to use them to create a second layer, but also to add movement to this arrangement. So let me turn this around and see if this line is going in this direction. I might be happy having something coming back here. So I'm gonna place this one somewhere here. Again, I'm gonna try to go and pin it in the frog. and you have to feel when it's secured, and I think that's fine. And then you can move it, you know? Once it's pinned, you can just move it a little bit. And I like very much this shape. I have another one of this one, and can you see how pretty is the color of this yellow? So I'm gonna place this one in a place where I feel it really makes that color stand out. So I think it's gonna be here. I'll place it and I show you. So I guess what I want to show you is that making tropical arrangements doesn't mean that you have to make these very stiff, old-fashioned arrangements. You can make something that looks very romantic. Exotic and romantic at the same time, and soft. And I think I'm gonna add one more of these dancer orchids. I just really like how they pop up the color, you know?